ready, Utah. A message from the Utah Department of Public Safety.
Get up to a 30% upfront bonus to use for your retirement income, or up to 12% per year to help grow your retirement income. Whether you're in retirement or will be retiring within 10 years, Trajan Wealth can offer some of the highest guarantees in the business. I'm Jeff Jr. with Trajan Wealth, and I know no one wants to work forever. We all need to retire someday, and I know you've worked hard for your money, so now is the time to guarantee it. Take advantage of up to a 30% upfront bonus for your retirement income, or up to 12% per year for retirement income. Don't woulda, shoulda, coulda. Get up to a 30% bonus just for opening an account, or up to 12% per year for retirement income. Don't leave your retirement to chance. Retire the right way, the Trajan way, with Trajan Wealth. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600. That's 801-899-7600.
Annuity guarantees are based on the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. DBA in most states says Trajan Wealth Insurance Solutions.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
Are you really that different than the rest of us?
We are. As a fiduciary, we always focus on what's best for our clients.
What services do you offer besides investing?
We have a team of specialists in financial planning, estate planning, and more.
Your clients rely on you for all that?
Yes, we ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Okay, but you still sell commission-based products, right?
No, because we believe that's a conflict of interest. We prioritize service over sales goals.
So, then how do your fees work?
We have a simple and transparent fee that's a percentage of our clients' portfolios. So we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, we're more different than I thought.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at fisherinvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Any Hour Services can help you make sure your furnace keeps you warm this winter. Whether you need a tune-up, a repair, or a second opinion about replacing it, call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
I'm Dave Cawley, investigative journalist and host of the podcast Cold. In October of 1985, a woman named Cherie Warren left work at a busy Salt Lake City office
to meet her estranged husband at a downtown auto dealership.
She never made it home. Cherie's car surfaced weeks later in Las Vegas.
In the parking lot of a hotel casino.
No one knows how it got there.
Strange. It was strange.
Both Cherie's estranged husband and her boyfriend raised suspicion for investigators.
I kind of thought that he might have done something.
But no arrests were ever made. In Cold Season 3, we dig into double lives, make new connections in the case, and examine the difficulty raised by reasonable doubt.
We want answers just as much as anyone else.
They have creeps like that now too, so nothing's changed.
That's the new Cold Season 3, The Search for Cherie, now available anywhere you get your podcasts.
With the three things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, Salt Lake County has bought Overstock.com's old headquarters building for office space. Second, the Federal Reserve cut interest rates again today by a quarter point. Third, December has been pretty dry, but Utah ski resorts are still optimistic about the season. 52 degrees, mostly cloudy in Salt Lake City. And back to Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
And welcome back to Inside Sources. You're here with me, Leah Murray, alongside my good friend Greg Skordas, and we are talking about all the most interesting things that are happening. So the American public may soon be able to see a House Ethics Committee report on former Congressman Matt Gaetz. It is a reversal from an earlier decision, Greg, to keep that report sealed. Let's listen to ABC's Jay O'Brien.
Multiple sources tell ABC News, including our Rachel Scott, our chief congressional correspondent, that the House Ethics Committee has voted to release this long report on Matt Gaetz, the product of a months-long investigation. And it was an open question up until this point if this report was ever really going to see the light of day. It was a flashpoint during Matt Gaetz's brief confirmation period where he was Donald Trump's pick to be the next attorney general.
So basically, in this report, we think, because we haven't seen it yet, there are allegations of the former congressman being involved in sexual misconduct, drug use, Greg, misuse of campaign funds, and some other improprieties. To be fair, Matt Gaetz has denied all allegations, called the probe a witch hunt. But it's interesting. I don't think he had many friends in Congress, Greg, right? So I don't know how surprised I am that they have finally decided to let this report go out into the wild.
I'm surprised, and I'll tell you why. The report was done while he was in Congress as a part of a congressional ethics investigation. So you would think that it involves his position as a congressman, and he's no longer there. So if they were doing the investigation to see if he should be removed, or to see if he should be censured, or to see if he should be impeached, I don't know. He's not there anymore. So to me, I mean, I think the American public has a right to see it, and I applaud the Ethics Committee for releasing it if that's in fact what they're going to do. But that seems to be a different approach than what they had taken earlier, in as much as he was no longer a member of Congress and wasn't going back.
Yeah, no, I think it's interesting. One, I don't think he has a lot of friends in Congress. So the reason we all know the name of this congressman from Florida, because I'm going to tell you what, when you know the name of a congressperson from another state, that means they are really not, how do I say, representing their state well. What they're doing is becoming famous, right, across the country. So we've heard his name because he was famous, and he is the reason Kevin McCarthy got bounced as being speaker. He was the reason why the Republicans really didn't get much done, because he was kind of a loud and obnoxious fellow. And what happened was they investigated him. President-elect Donald Trump had decided to nominate him as Attorney General. At that point, they had made no decisions about Gaetz, right? The investigation was ongoing. They were closing that investigation. When Trump decides to make him the Attorney General, a little bit it's, we are going to shelve this report because we don't want to mess up a Trump nominee. So there's Republicans in the leadership making that decision. But Gaetz is no longer the nominee, and he's no longer a Congress member.
Right.
So now he's someone with no political protections at all, with 434 people who really don't like him, right?
Including the current Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, who's probably not very happy with him either. Because of
having a lot of ability to let the world know. I mean, I think what's kind of interesting is this is actually a change. So let's listen again to Jay O'Brien.
But what the House Ethics Committee, according to sources, has done here at a meeting earlier this month was to vote to release this report. And that would have required Republicans crossing over party lines.
So a little bit here, what I want to say to you, Greg. So you were surprised that they're releasing it because he's not a Congress member. I am surprised that A, they changed their mind. So a month ago, they're saying we're not going to do it.
Right.
B, they changed their mind, and it had to have required Republicans to decide to release the report. What I'm not surprised by is, they did that vote in secret, right? So what we have noticed is people are paying attention, right? So if Republicans come out and they say something mean about a Trump nominee, then all of a sudden there's all sorts of social media pressure on, right? But a little bit, the House Ethics Committee voted in private to release this report. I think that privacy allows them, some latitude, right?
Yes,
to be able to say.
Some anonymity, right.
Right. We are going to let this report out. We can all blame each other, right? Like that Spider-Man cartoon. We can all just point at each other, like who is responsible for it. But a little bit, if we don't like Matt Gaetz and we don't ever want him coming back to Congress and we really kind of want to destroy his political career, I don't know, like maybe stuff in this report is going to get that done.
So I really do think, though, that had he been still considered for United States Attorney, it would have been relevant in terms of his conduct and his morals and his background. And I think that it would have been something that should be released. Had he stayed in Congress as a member of Congress, it's relevant there for him to continue to serve his position. But he's not either one. So to me, I don't know, except just sort of the interesting part of it, and maybe his future. But what he has said is he's actually owned up to part of it. He said, I made some bad decisions. I smoked too much. I drank too much. I was a womanizer. I did some bad things, but I'm not a criminal. And so I thought that the Justice Department actually investigated this case criminally and decided they weren't bringing charges that way either. So that's another reason why why are we releasing it, I guess.
Right, but I mean, I think it's interesting. So I'm just kind of reading out of this article that the Ethics Committee was looking into whether he shared inappropriate images or videos on the House floor, misused state identification records, converted campaign funds to personal use, right, accepted a bribe, improper gratuity, or impermissible gifts. I mean, a little bit, Greg, maybe none of those things are criminal, but they are absolutely unethical, right? And George Santos got bounced by the same committee for doing misdeeds. So a little bit, how do I say, it's not enough to be unethical, like it has to be criminal before we care about it. I don't know that I agree with that.
And
I think, right, like I think if a Congress member used his office to be unethical and other Congress members know that, I'm not sure why they get to know it and we don't get to know it. I would have been much more concerned if they hadn't released the report and he was being vetted by the Senate for Attorney General, right? I would have been really frustrated at that point. And so the earlier decision to not release the report, I found much more concerning.
And what surprises me about this, Leah, is I don't think a lot of us realized how broad the investigation was, because I had always assumed it involved sexual misconduct and the use of drugs. And it now it deals with sharing inappropriate images on the House floor, misused state identification records. I don't even know what that refers to. Converting campaign funds to personal use. I mean, that makes sense, but I didn't know that was on the table. Accepting a bribe. I mean, there's more and more and more and more to this. And so the more I hear about it, the more I'm sort of leaning more toward where you're going here. Maybe we ought to be able to see it. But it started out, I thought, maybe I was just naive, as him partying and doing drugs with 17-year-old kids. And he has said, by the way, I absolutely did not have sexual relations with anyone under the age of 18. He said that today.
I like how right there you had to parse that, right? Like it's under the age of 18.
Right.
I mean, all of
That's
it is gross,
right?
That's
how he said it,
but
right.
like the answer is he characterizes the investigation by the Ethics Committee, which is under the leadership of his own party, as a witch hunt. So what I really want to be clear is this is not partisan. These are not Democrats going after him. This is Republicans taking a look at one of their own and saying this is inappropriate. And Greg, I got to tell you, I have like higher expectations for our elected officials. I would really prefer they all behave well. And a little bit, it's not enough just to resign to get out of it, right? Like this was a member of the People's House for a number of years, using the People's House to do wrong things, and I want to see the report that the Congress has. And if it's not criminal, that's fine. But I would like to know if someone was unethical, if for no other reason to say, we are not accepting this, right? Like maybe this list of things we should not be accepting and no one in the future should be allowed to do.
So let me ask you this. We've only got a minute left, but part of the reason that they released this is because of some Republicans had to vote to do that, and the vote was secret. You wonder if the confirmation that is about to occur in the Senate, if that was done in secret, if we would have a different result with respect to some of these controversial picks. I mean, we part of me thinks we should have absolute transparency. We should know where our people are voting. Part of me also thinks, in this case, sometimes people vote their conscience a little better when they don't have to answer to someone else.
Yeah, so let's, when we get back, Greg, dive a little bit more into Congress. We've got a 1,500-page continuing resolution. I don't know if they're going to vote for it tomorrow. It funds that government till March of next year. Stay with us for that story.
It's 1:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomis. KSL's top story this hour. West Valley Police plan to update their investigation into the deaths of 5 members of one family at 2 o'clock this afternoon. One family member, a teenager, survived and was taken to the hospital. KSL News Radio will carry the police news conference live. Utah's ski resorts have just 2 to 3 feet of base snow right now, not affecting their optimism for the season. KSL News Radio's Alessandra Gurr reports.
December has been dry for all ski resorts so far, with Alta receiving just 22 inches of snow as of today compared to their average 90 inches of monthly snowfall. The story is the same for most resorts across the state, leading to only 2 or 3 feet of base, preventing resorts from opening all of their trails. But a spokesperson with Alta Resort told me that they're staying optimistic for the season, saying there's still plenty of winter left and they're still seeing some good traffic from local skiers.
Temperatures expected to stay warmer than usual for the rest of the week, with some potential snow and rainfall next week. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. A spending bill that would keep the federal government running past Friday night has been released now by congressional leaders. It would mostly fund the government at current levels, but it also includes $100 billion for disaster relief. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average has been dropping like a rock this afternoon, now down 645 points, about 1.5%. The NASDAQ right now is down 503 points, and that's about 2.5%. And just ahead, looks like we're going to see an inversion build up again over the valleys of the Wasatch Front. That's next. KSL News Time, 1:31.
It's a priority for us at this station to bring you all sides of a story and to talk about the news fairly, completely.
Get all the facts and be really aware. Utah's Morning News with us, Tim and Amanda.
Weekday mornings 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
Jazz games are better together. Host an unforgettable night at Delta Center with colleagues, friends, families, whoever. Group tickets are the best way to get everyone together to cheer on the Jazz. Pick from a variety of options for seating, dining, and game day experiences. Start planning your big night at the game by calling 801-355-DUNK, emailing group sales at utahjazz.com, or simply visiting utahjazz.com.
This is Derek Overstreet of the New Millennium Group and host of Stop Working and Start Living Radio. If you're close to or in retirement and you don't have a tax plan, call us right now, 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370. Listen, our country's been spending like never before, and the tax bill is coming soon. If you need an income tax strategy and a financial plan that will get you through the rest of your life, give my team a call, 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370. If you want an investment plan that allows you to keep more of your gains and pay less taxes, give us a call, 888-999-6370. My team specializes in the type of plan that will get you retired 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible. So, get a no-cost tax analysis by calling 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370. My team is standing by now.
Welcome to Staples.
Help! My family's in for the holidays and I need gift ideas.
That's why we're here. Staples has amazing deals on everything you need. Photo gifts, laptops, and gaming systems. Even custom holiday cards and shipping solutions to send gifts to the family that can't make it.
Perfect! Have anything for Uncle Frank? I love him, but the guy is never quiet.
Noise-canceling headphones. For you.
You get it.
Unwrap huge holiday savings at Staples. And right now at Staples, save up to $350 on select computers. Ends 12/28, in-store only.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair. Save on every gallon with the DinoPay app. Here's Ricky Meese.
It's a delay-free drive on all the Valley freeways. However, we do have a crash on southbound I-15 between Draper and Bluffdale at 146 South. It's been moved out of traffic to the left shoulder. Looking for the best gift ever? That's what you get at Minky Couture, the original luxury blanket company. Use code KSL50 online and in stores to receive 50% off your purchase. Visit minkycouture.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
We've been up into the 50s today with good air quality, but it's expected to get worse under another inversion layer, and a weak storm could help clear the air this weekend. Right now, 52 degrees. It's partly cloudy. I'm Dan Bomas from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com for Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources. A new presidency, new state leaders, and a new legislative session. Utah's top political experts discuss the day's biggest stories. Only on KSL News Radio.
And
And you're back with us on Inside Sources alongside Leah Murray. I'm Greg Skordas. And Leah, you have to answer me a question in a minute about the concept of a continuing resolution, the CR. So it seems like you and I have been doing this show for like 4 years now, and it seems like about every couple months we have to talk about a proposed government shutdown. And so far, it's never happened. At least since we've been doing it. I think in 2013 or something, there was a shutdown for a little while. But there's always this fear, and it's like, the government's going to shut down this Friday, which is after tomorrow. But it never happens. It seems like people sort of get their act together at the last minute and pass a bill that includes something for me and something for you and something for him and something for her. And then we end up keeping the government funded. Unfortunately, this one is only for 3 months, meaning 3 months from now, you and I will be sitting here having the same conversation.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I think one thing that I am disappointed by is House Speaker Mike Johnson, and we absolutely discussed this, you could pass a bill that is a budget, right? So you could say, we are going to pass a bill that has 12 appropriations legislation in it that funds all the areas of the government the way that Utah's state legislature does. And that budget then runs for an entire fiscal year. Everyone knows what's happening. It's pretty, laid out. There's no unpredictability. There's no mystery there. Or you could decide to wait to the last minute and do a continuing resolution, right, that requires you to only fund like 3 months. The conversation that happened earlier was we were not going to do a full budget because we wanted to make sure that all the legislators got to see a bill. Speaker Mike Johnson had promised he would never kind of run a big omnibus budget legislation that would always be very simple. It would be very clean to get to the Republicans into the new year. So that way the Trump and the trifecta, does that make sense? Like the Republicans in charge of everything could do a budget that they wanted to do. But I'm going to tell you what, a 1,500-page resolution is not simple. It is not clean. And because he cannot get it done with his party alone, Democrats got all sorts of fun measures. So the Democrats got disaster funding, which they wanted. The Democrats got the Baltimore Bridge being rebuilt, right? So you might remember that Francis Scott Bridge that collapsed in March. They got funding to pay the entire cost of that. The federal government's going to take that up. The members of Congress got themselves a pay raise, which, by the way, maybe they deserve. It's been since 2009 since they got a raise, and I'm going to say inflation has hit since 15 years ago. So maybe they need a little bit more money. Some of them living in their offices is probably not appropriate. Oh, my gosh. But I'm going to tell you, this is not. So how do I say? Doesn't it make more sense to have had this fight over the 12 appropriations bills earlier in the year, having a 1,500-page legislation earlier that actually mapped the fiscal year for the whole year? I do not understand why you wait to the last minute to run a 1,500-page, which looks to me like an omnibus. It's not technically an omnibus. It's just a continuing resolution, which seems to go against everything the speaker says he's going to do. Lots of end-of-year spending packages. Republicans had vowed to avoid this.
I was going to say, that's what Republicans were so concerned about, and it's why his predecessor didn't last very long in that position. Johnson has been popular among Republicans. He's done a good job, but I think that some of his members are going to say, you're no different than what's been happening in the past, and we brought you in to stop this very thing from happening. We're talking about $110 billion just in disaster aid, among the other things that you talked about. I mean, this is a big bill, and this is, 1,500 pages long, continuing resolution, and we're going to have to readdress the government shutdown in 90 days.
Yeah, so things that I am hearing is that Democrats got all the things they wanted. So we're going to rebuild the Francis Scott Key Bridge. We're going to transfer administrative jurisdiction over the RFK Memorial Stadium back to D.C. so that the Washington Commanders can come back to D.C. We are going to do healthcare policy extensions and reforms. Right, we got transparency in ticket and hotel prices. And Republicans got $21 billion in disaster relief for farmers and $10 billion for economic assistance for farmers and a 1-year extension of the Farm Bill. How do I say it? Feels like the Democrats got a whole beautiful Christmas wish list and the Republicans got what they don't want, which is a giant piece of legislation, and only got stuff for farmers.
What surprises me also, Leah, is we're a month away from the new Congress taking shape. We're talking about a lame duck Congress, and maybe that made it easier for some people to cross the aisle because they're not running for re-election.
No one's voted on it.
Oh, right.
Let's be clear. This is just the
point.
legislative text. And the rule is they are supposed to have 72 hours to look at it before they vote. I don't know that there's 72 hours between now and Friday when this government shuts down, Greg.
There is not,
right. So a little bit, Mike Johnson did not deliver. Right. So Republicans, the big complaint from Republicans in both the Senate and the House is that leadership is cutting these deals. Leadership is working with the minority party leadership and cutting deals, and that the lay members of Congress, if you will, like people who are not in the leadership, don't get to see legislation in time. And then they're asked to read 1,500 pages at the last minute. And Mike Johnson promised not to do that. Republicans are not supposed to do that.
But
and a little bit it looks like that
Speaker
to me.
Johnson wouldn't have come this far down the road, Leah, unless he thought he was going to get it passed, though. He must have tremendous, like you said, tremendous support among the Democrats.
Because the Democrats are going to vote
because they're
with
all
him.
on board. Right. Interesting. And also, it is a problem because we're going to be back here again in 90 days with a new Congress who might look back on this and say, why did this have to happen at the last minute, especially in such large numbers? It's not like Johnson was up against the wall. We were really going to shut down the government. I don't see Democrats allowing that to happen.
No, but the point is the continuing resolution is the thing you need to pass to not shut down the government.
Right.
Right. So I don't know what Democrats, how do I say, they would not necessarily benefit from not shutting it down. Right. Like if Republicans are in charge and the government shuts down, that's the Republicans' fault. Right. It looks bad for them.
Right.
So they leverage. But again, my point is we could have gone back months ago and had this huge fight and done this giant bill and then funded the government through next September. So I cannot figure out what Speaker Johnson is thinking. I cannot. How do I say? I think it's going to really hurt him in his party going forward.
Yeah, and when the new Congress takes over, we may not have a new speaker. I don't know. It did include a raise for lawmakers for congressional representatives. Apparently, they have earned $174,000 per year since 2009. There's a raise in effect. I don't see the exact numbers for that, but congressional representatives are going to. And maybe 15 years, it's time to give them a raise. I don't know what $174,000 means in terms of living in Washington, D.C. It doesn't seem like a tremendous amount of money.
The other thing that came up in this continuing resolution, which kind of meets a current event you may have heard of, Greg, is there have been drone threats. In fact, I read in the newspaper yesterday that there are drones in Davis County, right? So there are some concerns about drones, these mysterious drone sightings. Mostly it had been back on the East Coast, but I saw something yesterday about Davis County. And this legislation extends a portion of the Homeland Security Act to track those drones, unmanned aircrafts, and disrupt their control. So a little bit, that conversation you've heard in news is showed up in this continuing resolution as well.
It's funny, we haven't talked about drones much at all, but for the last 3 or 4 days, they're a big item. And
yeah, just watch any news
New
broadcast.
York, New Jersey having a problem. Now they're hitting our own Davis County. And we're talking about drones of all shapes and sizes. I mean, some of them, we talked this morning about a drone that's the size of a Chevy pickup truck. I mean, there are some big drones, not the kind you buy over there at Costco. Anyway, when we come back after the break, we're going to talk about Vice President Kamala Harris and her discussions with young people about where she's going, where the country may be going, and about losing the presidential election last month. Stay with us.
This holiday season, give the gift of joy with Mrs. Kavanaugh's chocolates. Imagine the delight on your loved ones' faces as they unwrap a box of their handcrafted gourmet chocolates. From creamy caramels to chocolate-covered treats, each piece is made with love and the finest ingredients. Family-owned for over 60 years, Mrs. Kavanaugh's offers a tradition of quality and care. Whether it's their famous chocolate-covered nuts or their decadent fudge, Mrs. Kavanaugh's has something to make every holiday moment sweeter. Find the perfect gifts this year for your family, friends, and employees at MrsKavanaughs.com or visit their retail store to explore their holiday specials and delicious corporate gifts. Order now and make the season unforgettable with the magic of Mrs. Kavanaugh's chocolates, where every bite is a memory. Share the sweetness.
KSL Broadcast Group contests are open to participants 13 years of age and older that are residents of Utah, Idaho, Wyoming, and Nevada, unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, or other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest may not enter. Persons who have won in the last 90 days from a station contest or event are not eligible. Full general contest rules are available at kslnewsradio.com.
Tim, we've got some really good news for our listeners.
Yeah, as long as we've been talking about soda and seen all the success stories around the halls here at KSL about soda, we have never seen this.
Yeah, so it's 2 for 1 in the month of December, which means, I had life-changing weight loss with soda. I lost 34 pounds, and I did it, 3 years ago now? And I want that increase in energy and confidence and health for all of our listeners. And right now, you and your spouse or you and your child could do it 2 for 1.
Double the results, half the cost. We've told you the story of my daughter who lost 42 pounds and how that nutritionist actually becomes like a member of your family. Well, now you can have a member of your family who also gets the benefits of being able to reach out and get that needed help along the way from a great nutritionist.
How great is that to be able to not just do it for yourself, but to also do it for somebody you love?
Go to sodaweightloss.com right now. It's spelled SOTA and it stands for state of the
art.
At Common Spirit Health, we know that lifelong health and well-being starts with primary care. So we have doctors and providers who see you, hear you, know you, and understand you. Because understanding you means understanding your needs. And that leads to a deeper knowledge of the prevention, wellness, and treatment options that may be best for you. It's primary care that treats your whole family like family. It's primary care with human kindness. Discover all the ways you can find and connect with a primary care provider at mountain.commonspirit.org.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why, when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million+ products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With Venture X, earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy and turn everyday purchases into extraordinary trips. Plus, receive premium travel benefits like access to over 1,300 airport lounges where you just check in and chill out. Open up a world of possibilities with Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
This Friday, join KSL News Radio and NPS from 10 to 1 as the movie show stops by. Then, browse and uncover what makes NPS so great. With 4 locations, NPS takes a new inventory every day. Then, they check all competitors' retail pricing before marking items down 20 to 70% off. You're invited to visit the movie show this Friday from 10 to 1. And that's the first step to discovering NPS. Visit NPSstore.com to begin your own NPS adventure. NPSstore.com.
All in together now, we can make it better. Can we do it? We'll open it up. Cause we know how to jump.
Moving and eating better every day can help make you and your kids healthier. Search We Can online to find out more. A message from the Ad Council, HHS, and NIH's We Can program.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, Salt Lake County has bought Overstock.com's old headquarters building for office space. Second, the Federal Reserve cut interest rates again today by a 1/4 point. Third, December has been pretty dry, but Utah ski resorts are still optimistic about the season. 52 degrees, mostly cloudy in Salt Lake City. And back to Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
Welcome back to Inside Sources. You're here with me, Leah Murray, alongside Greg Skordas. Now, Greg, you may have been asking yourself, where is Vice President Kamala Harris? Like, what happens to someone after they lose a presidential election the way that she did? And actually, she was giving a speech yesterday.
The way that she did.
Yeah.
I mean, she lost bigger
unexpectedly,
than expected.
right?
Yes,
bigger
yes,
than, yeah,
right.
thank
I
you,
know
sir.
what you mean.
Unexpectedly.
Yeah, right.
So she was giving a talk on Tuesday to young people about encouraging them to stay in the fight.
Be ready to get back to work, fighting for opportunity and freedom, fighting for fairness and dignity, and fighting for this country we love and the future we share.
So I thought it was interesting that she was talking to young people, you probably have heard me talk about this a little bit, Greg, in the way that Democrats are trying to make, I think, a generational shift from their octogenarian crew that they have that has been governing that party for what it feels like forever, but maybe at least the last decade or so, to the next generation. Harris is talking about making sure that young people, that the next generation of Democrats actually, keep going. So let's listen to more.
The true test of our commitment is whether, in the face of an obstacle, do we throw up our hands or do we roll up our sleeves?
So I want to just talk right there, Greg, about that moment. So the true test of our commitment is whether, in the face of an obstacle, losing an election. I also think Kamala Harris messaged about a Trump victory as being an existential crisis for the country. So I do think she might think Trump even being president is the obstacle. Do we throw up our hands or do we roll up our sleeves? Do you think that young people are going to be compelled by that? Do you think young people are going to feel like this election that they really were hoping to win, when I talk about it being an unexpected result, right? Like, I think young people weren't expecting Republicans to sweep the way they did. And if young people feel like there's nowhere to go with it, feeling kind of pessimistic, will this message from Harris, sound a battle cry, make them come out?
I don't see it. I don't hear it. And I know we haven't heard all of it, but the message from the first soundbite was, we're going to fight for the freedom of this country that we love and the future we share. How, Kamala? Or we're going to, in the second one, we're going to stay true to our ideals even in the face of difficulty. By doing what? I mean, I think the whole problem with her presidency was, what are you going to do? I think those sound bites are just great and they're fun, but they're meaningless to me. They're absolutely meaningless to me. And I'm sure the young people sitting there going, okay, Kamala, you lost, but we're going to keep the good fight up. So tell us a plan, tell us a direction, tell us where we're going. That's I guess I'm getting on a box here. I shouldn't have got on. The problem that the Democrats have had all along is great rhetoric, but what does it mean?
All right, so this message is very optimistic.
Sure.
But some are arguing it doesn't really acknowledge that she's the reason that they lost, right? Or the Democrats and their messaging is the reason that they lost. So what I heard you, as you got off the soapbox you got on, right? Because you were trying to back off of it, but let me just put you on the spot and make you say it. Do you think Democrats, how did you just say, they are giving a message of hope, but there's no actual plan, right?
Sure.
And that they're making the wrong statements to actually be able to win elections. And that is the reason why Trump has made significant inroads with young people in this election cycle. Do you think, what is the Democrats have to have a reckoning? This speech doesn't seem to do it. What do you think needs to happen for them to acknowledge how they can actually make a plan going forward for young people?
I think they need to tell us what the plan is. What does the country look like under Democratic leadership? Do we, for example, and I'm just throwing out some ideas, we need to increase the minimum wage. That's something concrete. We need to address the border issue by doing A, B, C, and D. That's something concrete. You know what I mean? I think that saying we need to build a better country. I mean, Trump said, my first day in office, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And he probably won't do any of it, but at least he said what he was going to do. He articulated clear. He's going to pardon the January 6th insurrectionists. He's going to do away with tips on, for our hotel and restaurant workers. He's going to, cut into this and cut into that. He's got Ramaswamy and Elon Musk who are going to start cutting through red tape. At least whether they can implement it or not, Americans, I think, like the idea of a plan, a roadmap. Okay, Kamala, what are you going to do? She had a hard time, even during the election, distinguishing herself from President Biden, who was so unpopular. And when asked about the economy, what are you going to do about the economy? It's a real problem. Instead of saying, here's what I'm going to do, she said, well, it's really not a problem. Biden's done a great job. Well, people didn't believe that. People didn't want to hear that.
Yeah, Harris was saying she had received tens of thousands of letters from people across our nation, from young people. I mean, she's talking to them, and one of the things she did was try to graft onto history, kind of the moment that we find ourselves in. Let's listen.
The movements for civil rights, women's rights, workers' rights, the United States of America itself would never have come to be if people had given up their cause after a court case or a battle or an election did not go their way.
What I love about that statement is, and you and I have talked about this with regard to abortion rights.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit, I think Democrats for 50 years were like, well, we have Roe. So Roe v. Wade made it that abortion was enshrined in the Constitution, and so therefore we don't have to talk about it anymore.
Good point.
And the way that I hear her talking here is, no, democracy is a living entity, right? Every conversation is open. Every avenue of inquiry is something that we need to talk about. And I loved how she said that. The United States of America itself would never have come to be if people had given up on their cause, right? That the movements for civil rights, women's rights, worker rights, if a court case didn't go their way or an election didn't go their way, if they just were like, oh, that's the end. No, this is a narrative. We are still in the middle of this conversation. Does that resonate with you at all or no?
I mean, it's good. It says a little more. But so the movement for civil rights, you just can't give up after a court case. So what are you going to do? Tell us what you're going to do. What do women's rights look like under Democratic leadership? What does workers' rights? What does you know what I mean? We're not going to give up the fight. We're going to continue that, even though we lost a court case. By doing what? I don't know. I guess I should get off of this. That I just wish the Democrats had a message. I wish they had a plan that they were going to implement and to tell these young people, because these are people who are looking at her and saying, are we in a mess right now? Is the country in trouble because of this new administration? Some of them are. Some are saying this is the best thing that could have happened. And she's got to say, here's what's going to happen. Here's where we're going to be. She's still young. She's going to be a player in American politics, let's face it, for another 20 years. I don't think she's going to run again.
All right, so I'm putting you to stop right there.
Right.
So the vice president has kept a relatively low profile. She went to Hawaii. She's been shopping in D.C. She's hosted some friends over for holiday parties at the Naval Observatory where she gets to live for the next little bit. You don't think she's running again? I'd heard a rumor she's running for California governor.
Oh, well, that's a different question. And California governor, that'd be fine. I just don't think she's running for president again. Okay. I don't think that the Democrats will put her up again, given what happened this year.
All
because
right.
She raised a boatload of money. She raised well over $1 billion. And, I mean, there were jokes about it. There were, funny Saturday Night Live skits about it, that she's got $1 billion and she's not resonating with anybody. So I think she has to change her brand a lot. Maybe in the next 4 years she'll take some position and do something that's really important, which she wasn't able to do as vice president. And maybe that puts her in a better position. But I think right now she's probably not a good candidate for the Democrats in 2028.
All right. So if you want to know what's going to happen with Kamala Harris, you want to make sure you are signed up to get KSL's newsletter with the 3 things you need to know each day. Just text inbox to 57500 to get started. More to come on Inside Sources. Stay with us.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 2 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top story this hour. We're expecting a news conference with the West Valley Police to begin at any moment with an update on the investigation into the deaths of 5 members of one family inside their home. The 6th family member survived and was taken to the hospital, and we'll join that as soon as it begins. A family in American Fork, or a man rather from American Fork, accused of gunning down his brother-in-law and being involved in a plot to kill him, is in court today to see whether he'll stand trial. Kevin Stanley Ellis claimed self-defense after police say he shot Matthew Rastelli back in July. His mother, Tracy Grist, and his sister allegedly conspired with him to kill Matthew Rastelli, with whom his wife and he were having marital problems at the time.
The evidence will show that after Kate came to Utah, Kate and her family learned how hard it would be for her to separate from Matthew in a divorce and get everything she wanted.
Ellis is charged with murder, as were his mother and sister. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The FDA has issued a warning about a popular drug prescribed to prevent hot flashes. It says fezolinetant, sold under the trade name Veoza, can increase the risk of liver problems in some users. Symptoms of the liver problems include fatigue, nausea, and yellowing skin or eyes. Your money at this moment. The Dow Jones average took a nosedive today, down now more than 1,000 points, 1,123, or about 2.5%. The NASDAQ is down 716. That's 3.5%. The S&P 500 is down 178 right now. And our KSL weather, we've got sunny skies coming up, but also an increasing inversion for the next several days. And we'll have that next. KSL News Time, 2:02.
Here's a way to get breaking news updates anywhere you go.
At the store or in a work meeting, you can get breaking news on your phone.
You can quickly read it, swipe, or click for more. It's super discreet, super fast.
That's the app for KSL News Radio.
Febreze. As a rideshare driver, I love keeping my car smelling fresh and clean. So when I'm driving, I only trust Febreze car vent clips, featuring 3 distinct intensity settings, because it's that little touch that sets me apart. I can turn the intensity down for subtle freshness, or I can turn it up for when I want lots of scent. So whether it's set to low, medium, or high, with Febreze car, I know my car's going to smell amazing. Which keeps my driver rating right where it belongs. Picking up, Oscar!
Ooh, ma. What was that? That is business phone bliss with the Ooma Cloud phone system. It handles all our voice, video, and messaging needs.
You sound very...
Calm, I am. Ooma has everything I need to handle the busy holiday season, like virtual receptionist, call routing, and video conferencing. And it starts at just $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Nice. Find your business comm at ooma.com/radio.
The holiday season is upon us, and you know, sometimes when I start talking about Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, I talk about all of the wonderful things we do around it, like skiing and going to concerts and movies and holiday shopping. I want to spend a little time talking about the amazing food that awaits you at Ruth's Chris. First of all, when you walk through the doors, either in Park City or downtown, the way you're treated, the way the waitstaff takes care of you, the presentation of the food, it is simply remarkable. And the taste is out of this world. I savor, I wait for, I anticipate that very first bite of my steak at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. And of course, I always talk about the steaks, but the other entrees are delicious as well, whether it's seafood or poultry. Ruth's Chris Steakhouse is beyond compare. And for heaven's sake, save room for dessert. The best dining experience, it's awaiting you at Ruth's Chris.
$182,000. According to CBS News, Americans lose out on an average of $182,000 in Social Security income because they file for their benefits at the wrong time. Learn how you could wring every nickel out of your benefits with a free Social Security analysis from Boss Retirement Solutions. This free analysis pinpoints the optimal time to file for Social Security while considering the impact on your taxes, IRA and 401k withdrawals, and Medicare premiums. If you've saved more than $200,000 and have not filed for Social Security, schedule your free analysis now by calling 801-896-9622. Discover how you could wring every nickel out of your Social Security benefits. Call 801-896-9622. 801-896-9622.
Advisory services offered through Boss Retirement Advisors.
Traffic and weather together now, brought to you by Sinclair. Save on every gallon with the DinoPay app. And here's Ricky Meese.
Pretty quiet on the Valley freeways. Weber County drivers, remember, we do have westbound I-84 closed as you're approaching Riverdale Road. Keep that in mind for your drive home. Arrive in style in a great fitting suit from Mr. Mac. They ensure a perfect fit, offering fast, free alterations by expert tailors at all 9 Mr. Mac stores. Arrive in style. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
We've had temperatures up into the 50s today. Those will drop for the next several days, and we're also expecting to have another inversion layer trapping pollution on the Wasatch Front. A weak storm could help clear the air this weekend. Right now, 52 degrees and partly cloudy. I'm Dan Bomas from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studio.
West Valley City Police are giving an update on a homicide that left 5 family members dead and another badly injured yesterday night. Let's listen in.
Recapping a little bit of what has occurred. After being unable to reach the woman who lives inside that home on Oxford Way, a family member entered the garage of the home and inside found the 17-year-old son of the family who lives there in that home, and he had suffered a gunshot wound. The police were called at that time, and when we arrived, we encountered that 17-year-old, and then we entered the home where we discovered the bodies of the remaining 5 members of the family who lived inside that home. We're not releasing the names of the family members at this time. It is our process to make proper notification to next of kin before we release the names of victims. And we do understand, though, that some of you already have gained access to those names, and we ask you to please respect the family and allow them the opportunity to properly notify all of the family members that they'd like to notify. So the bodies inside of the house, as you'll recall, were the 42-year-old father of the family, the 38-year-old mother of the family, an 11-year-old son, a 2-year-old daughter, and a 9-year-old daughter. All of the victims appeared to have suffered gunshot wounds. Autopsies will confirm the exact cause of death. The bodies of the mother and the 2 daughters were located in the bedroom on the upper level of the home. The bodies of the father and the 11-year-old son were located in the living room of the home. And a small handgun was found underneath the body of the father. We believe this was the weapon used in the shootings. However, ballistic and forensic analysis will determine that definitively. That is our initial determination, is that the father likely shot all of the members of the family and then himself. However, we do need to wait for confirmation from ballistics evidence and also from forensics evidence to be able to determine that definitively.
And when was the last time they were seen alive? Was last being confirmed?
The last confirmed, I believe, is Friday night, Saturday morning, sometime into maybe the early hours of Saturday morning.
And what's the current condition of the 17-year-old?
The 17-year-old is in critical condition.
And do you think he's was shot and survived somehow for 3 or 4
Yes.
days?
Yes.
Been able to speak with him? Is he in condition?
No. So the 17-year-old suffered a severe brain injury. He was shot through the head, and he is not in a condition where we're able to speak to him. He's not communicative at all at this point.
Do you believe he was shot in the garage, or do you think somehow he made his way to the garage to try and get out?
We believe that he made his way to the garage. We do not believe he was shot in the garage.
When do you believe he was shot and the other family members were shot?
We believe that it happened sometime over the weekend, and we're going to need more information that will come likely from the autopsy to be able to let us know a better timeline, but we do believe it happened sometime over the weekend.
So it's been days?
Excuse me?
So it's been days?
Yes, correct.
So based on the evidence you found so far, have you found a note or anything that would indicate why, or has there been a history of domestic violence or anything?
No, there's no history of domestic violence. There was no sort of a note, and we really have no motive. We understand how frustrating it is for an incident of this magnitude to happen and to not understand why. We know people want to know why. We want to know why. But the truth is we may never know. We don't have any information as to why this happened, and we have no history with this family.
What about the family member that initially discovered the 17-year-old? Has she been able to provide any information what might be behind this?
We have been able to speak with this family member, but we still have no information as to why this might have occurred.
What did you find in the original welfare
There was one welfare check that occurred. So the night prior to us entering the home and finding the bodies, the family member had asked for assistance on a welfare check. She had not been able to reach this family member who lives inside the home and was growing concerned. So she contacted us. We went out to the house and we looked in the windows, couldn't see anything inside, talked to the neighbors. They said that they hadn't seen the family, but that was not unusual that they hadn't seen them. And so we, at that time, communicated with the family member that if her concerns should continue, to please stay in contact with us and keep us posted as to how that was going.
Could she say any more about why she was concerned? I mean, why she didn't think you were just out of town or something like that?
Because she said that she's in regular communication with this family member, and that communication had stopped.
Did anyone in the neighborhood hear gunshots?
We had no reports of gunshots from anyone. When we canvassed the area, no one said that they had heard any kind of gunshots, and no one called police to report any gunshots.
Were you aware of any family members expressing to other family or friends concern for their well-being or their lives, expressing feeling like they're in danger?
We're not aware of anything of that nature.
Were there any calls to this home prior to this incident?
We don't have a history with this home. I believe the only call that we have from this home is from some time ago where they were reporting a loud party down the street. So nothing that involves this home directly.
Do you know how long they lived there?
Sorry?
How long they lived there?
I don't know.
Did you already mention how many one-shots were found in their bodies?
No, we're not going to get into the nature of their injuries other than I think it provides some clarity to let you know that the 17-year-old suffered a severe brain injury. You know, we've had questions about why he didn't reach out to police or why he didn't do certain things, but I think that it's important to know that he suffered a severe brain injury, so that I think clarifies a lot.
Did the 17-year-old live there? Because neighbors are telling us they don't recognize him or rarely see him.
As far as I know, yes, he lived there.
Can you tell us more about the welfare check, the police side of things? Because you guys did a welfare check on Monday, but you're saying it's likely those people had died over the weekend. What are they looking for that they didn't see on Monday?
So in order to be able to enter a home without a warrant, you're going to have proof that some sort of an exigent circumstance exists. So we would need to have some sort of evidence that someone was in danger, there was some sort of an emergency, there was some sort of a crime, and without that sort of evidence, it's a constitutional protection that we can't just go in and enter people's homes. So when they looked in the windows, they talked to the neighbors, all of those sorts of things, none of that provided any sort of evidence that would be enough for us to enter a home without a warrant.
Did police tell the family member who was concerned to hold off, stay out of their space for a little bit, or?
No.
Are you able to say whether the 17-year-old was enrolled in the local high school?
I don't know. The local schools would be under Granite School District, so you'd want to contact them to find out any information about where they went to school. I don't know.
So other than the autopsy, what more do you have to do with your investigation?
So the autopsy will be one portion of it. There will be ballistics testing that will occur. There will also be forensic analysis that's done. So the weapon that was found, we need to take a closer look at who might have fired that. Do the ballistics match up with the casings in the home, that sort of thing. So, there are a number of steps that will need to be completed, and those are things that take time. But our commitment is to doing the most thorough job possible, however long that takes.
I assume go through all the electronics, see if there's any search histories.
Right. And evidence, the process of evidence gathering started immediately, started gathering evidence throughout the neighborhood, looking at doorbell cameras, canvassing the neighborhood to talk to people, talking to family members and all of that sort of thing. So if there is a stone that needs to be turned, you can trust that our detectives will turn it.
Did neighbors hear any gunshots?
There's no report of neighbors hearing gunshots. We didn't receive any calls of that nature. And when we canvassed the neighborhood, no one said that they had heard gunshots.
Reiterating a little bit what you touched on last night, but we're a week away from Christmas, and now we have a father who possibly killed his family. Just tell us people are feeling so many different ways. It's a tragic situation.
Yeah.
What's the message from police to the greater community?
You know, a tragedy of this magnitude, I think, is hard to comprehend for anyone, and it's certainly hard for folks in our police department to comprehend. It's certainly hard for our city officials to comprehend, and it's certainly hard for our community to comprehend. But if there's one thing that I know about West Valley City is that this is a community that stands together. This is a community that works together. And so my expectation would be that just as West Valley City folks do, that they will rally around and that they'll support the folks who are left grieving from this tragic circumstance.
Has West Valley seen anything like this before? I know
No. I mean, no, nothing like this.
Were curtains drawn when you all did the welfare check? Was it hard to see inside given the limits you have?
I know that officers looked into the windows. I don't know what they were able to see, and I don't know the status of the curtains.
You just think about that family member. When something happens like this, did she do the right thing? Do you have to keep going back and checking on these loved ones of yours?
These sorts of circumstances are difficult because adults have the right to do what they would like to do, and they don't have to tell their family members what they're doing. So, you know, that's not an unlikely situation where sometimes an adult might want to do something and they don't need to report it to their family members, which could cause concern for a family member. So it is a very difficult circumstance, and I have no reason to criticize in any way the way that this family member handled things. I'm certain she was just doing the best that she could, just like any of us would.
Are you allowed to talk a little about the crime scene? Did it look like they were sleeping, or was there a struggle or anything like that?
I don't know. Again, I'll just point out that the 2-year-old child, the 2-year-old little girl, the 9-year-old little girl, and the mother were all in the same bed. And the 11-year-old and the father were both in the living room of the home. It's our understanding that the bedroom of the 17-year-old is in a downstairs area. Of course, he wasn't in that bedroom. We found him in the garage. I don't know. And this is one of the difficult. This is one of the difficult parts where we want answers. We want to understand everything, but being able to understand it and understand it correctly is going to take time. Thank you for your time today.
We've been just listening to a live press conference. That was Roxanne Vainuku from the West Valley City Police Department talking about this terrible homicide that left 5 family members dead and another badly injured last night. KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera will have a live report at the top of the 3 o'clock hour on Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News. Inside Sources will be right back.
The KSL News Radio app will update you on breaking stories.
A house explosion this afternoon.
And you'll get exclusive audio streams from local events, breaking news, and sports.
Cougars feel like they can overcome anything.
All of your favorite KSL hosts are there too, so you can listen anytime. Plus traffic and weather. Download it today. The app for KSL News Radio.
If you're trying to decide which gutter protection to put on your home, don't just ask how they'll handle leaves. Ask how they'll handle ice. Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors, and that's right, ice. See, plenty of gutter guards are good at keeping out leaves, but most are made with flimsy materials that can bend, buckle, and break under the weight of too much ice. Kind of a big problem in an icy state like Utah, right? At RGS Exteriors, our exclusive gutter protection systems are built Utah tough. They're made with premium strength materials that hold up to 1,200 pounds of ice per square foot. Simply put, they're not going to budge. Our gutter guards are also certified to handle hurricane-level winds and rain. Mother Nature can't damage them. Guaranteed. Utah Tough Products. That's the RGS way. For a free estimate, call 801-280-3110 or visit rgsexteriors.com. That's rgsexteriors.com or 801-280-3110.
It's official. KSL Sports is your official radio home of the Utah Hockey Club. When the puck hits the ice this fall, you'll hear every goal, every check, and every tension-filled moment on the KSL Sports Zone. Plus, let your voice be heard on the Utah Hockey Club Fan Forum on KSLSports.com. Your exclusive home of the NHL and the Utah Hockey Club in Utah is KSL Sports and 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hi, it's Kathy.
And Jason from Window World.
Doug and I have always been called the mom and pop window world business.
Where folks are treated like family.
Well, now it's mom and kids.
And you'll still be treated like family.
Here's our welcome to the family special.
4 windows and a patio door, only $56.12.
That's right, folks. 4 windows and a patio door, only $56.12.
Call today, 801-281-8111.
Window World. Simply the best.
And as Doug always said,
that's no baloney. Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Come on, the meeting's already started.
Sometimes it's important.
Last call, boarding gate number 9.
Sometimes it's urgent.
Trip through alarm.
Sometimes it's vital. Hospital treatment within 1 hour of a stroke can prevent lifelong disability. If you notice someone experiencing sudden weakness on one side or having a problem speaking, walking, or seeing, call 911 fast. Stroke. Know the signs. Act in time. A message from the National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Stroke.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, West Valley police say it appears the father of a family shot his wife, his children, and then himself. The teenage survivor is in critical condition. Second, a man accused of killing his brother-in-law in American Fork was in court today. And third, Salt Lake County found a place to expand its office space. It's bought the old Overstock.com headquarters building. Right now, 52 degrees, partly cloudy in Salt Lake City. And back to Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
And welcome back to Inside Sources. You're here with me, Leah Murray, alongside Greg Skordas. Now, Greg, what's coming up in the next month is the 2025 Legislative General Session. It begins on January 21st. One of the most important things I think we did back when we were on KSL at night, and now we're doing on Inside Sources, is making sure everyone in the state knows what their legislature is doing and being aware of what's happening. So in this segment, we're going to have a conversation with Democratic State Senator Nate Bluin about legislation he is working on and what he hopes to accomplish in the next session. Welcome to the show, Senator.
Hey, Leah. Hey, Greg. Good to see you. Hear you.
Yeah, no, I got you. I appreciate that. So talk to us about what's maybe the most important bill that you are planning on running this legislative session.
Yeah, I've got a whole bunch of proposals ready to go, but I know the one we talked about was this community development projects bill, which is something that probably resonates kind of from the federal level. We've had a discussion about permitting reform, which, sounds extremely exciting. So very important stuff. I worked a lot on energy and environmental issues. So trying to figure out ways to get clean energy projects built quicker is a big piece of the agenda. This sort of proposal just we saw it peter out at the federal level. And so hopefully the state can start taking the lead there and figuring out ways to get clean energy built with good input from the community. That's kind of the idea here. And so we're going to see how it goes.
Senator Bluin, as a member of the minority party, you have to cross the aisle, and you're very good at that. Can you tell us about some bills that you're considering or you're talking to Republicans about, things that we should know about that maybe they're touting that you're on board with or you're working with or you're sort of helping them amend to fit your needs as well?
Yeah, hopefully one area where we can find some common ground. And I mean, this is extremely relevant. Just as I called in, I overheard the broadcast that y'all are doing. And obviously there was a really tragic shooting out in West Valley City. And hopefully gun violence is an area that we can find some common ground. I know I'm working on some legislation that is going to be a pretty big bill. And I think hopefully start some good conversations that can turn into passable proposals throughout the years. And I do know there are Republicans who are on board with that. And I don't want to spoil any names because that gets into a controversial area, but definitely it's something that I think everyone at this point realizes we have to start taking this seriously if we want to address gun violence in our communities.
So, Senator, I appreciate what you just said, kind of working with people and Greg asking you working across the aisle. But you are very much in a minority in a very supermajority legislature. Tell us how Democrats, right? Like, how do you get your priorities through the session? Like, how do you get Republicans to pick up issues that you care about? How do you make that work when you have such small numbers?
Yeah, I mean, one of my focuses, frankly, over the years is to build up more members from the Democratic Party, you know, whether it's other folks who join the legislature that can push back on the supermajority. Competition of ideas, I think, is a good thing. And so I want to see more of that. I want to see people willing to cross over the aisle on both sides and not just Democrats being expected to be bipartisan, because I think that is a trap that we fall into, frankly. And we've seen how the Republican-dominated legislature has really pushed some problematic and unpopular issues. You know, obviously with Amendment D is the most recent example of that. And so you know, some of the Democrats have done a really good job at working through legislation with Republicans on things like childcare, on immigration in the past. And I'm really worried that some of that good work that Democrats have done is going to get unwound this year. So that's definitely one of the things that I'm focused on.
Nate, talk to us about the budget. We have, for several years here in Utah, had enjoyed quite a surplus, but the times have changed, and it seems like we're a little bit at a shortfall this year. What are you hearing from leaders from both sides about how the budget's going to change this year, if at all?
Yeah, it sounds like we just had a great meeting on Monday with our caucus, and we had Jonathan Ball, who's you know, kind of the top budget guy in the he's with the Legislative Fiscal Analyst's Office, and so you know, it sounds like there's some good stuff happening. You know, maybe we're a little bit more lean than in past years, but still a few $100 million, it sounds like, in new money to be able to spend. And his interpretation was that money was already spent, which is unfortunately something that happens behind closed doors. You know, the Republicans are able to prioritize that money before we even get to hear about it. And so I don't know what their priorities are there, but that's what we're hearing. Hopefully we're not looking at any big across the board cuts. You know, I don't think that's something we need to be talking about yet. We'll see how the year shakes out. I think we get into February where we see kind of the final picture of how the fiscal year played out from a revenue and collections picture. But yeah, I think we're in a good spot again, but definitely would like to see more collaboration as we work through to make sure education's funded. You know, I think affordable housing is a huge issue and ties right into homelessness and services around that we're really dealing with here. Frankly, in my district in South Salt Lake, they've really taken a leadership role and they could use some help. So hopefully some of that money makes it back to us.
We're speaking with Democratic State Senator Nate Bluin. And Nate, in the last minute or so that we have here, there have been some talks about the recent election and whether or not Republicans intend to change the vote by mail or any other part of signature gathering, any of that. Can you tell us, is there much momentum for much of a change in Utah election? Because it seems like we're doing things quite well right now.
I agree with that. I think we've done a great job. You know, we saw an extremely minor number of instances of I think folks who had passed away casting ballots somehow. I think it was maybe 2 or 3. That does not concern me from a structural level. I don't think it's something we need to change. We need to figure out how to make it a little bit better. But as far as the outcomes of elections, I have all the faith in the world that Utah is doing a good job. I think there are things we could work on. I'd love to see votes counted quicker. That requires, again, more resources, more funding to be able to do that. But I think that is one thing that would help restore trust from some folks in elections is getting the ballots counted quicker. So if we can find some ways to do that, work with the county clerks and address the speed there and hopefully get things counted quicker, I think that would be awesome. But as far as the actual outcomes, I think it's a ridiculous conversation to have. And vote by mail has been something that's almost universally enjoyed by folks across the state. So I hope we don't mess around with it.
All right, Senator Nate Bluin from the Utah State Senate, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Greg.
Very forthcoming.
Yeah, it's going to be a
Great
fun session.
interview.
Next up on Inside Sources, let's have a conversation about several federal judges around the country saying they will not retire as previously planned now that Trump is going to be president. We'll discuss the ethics around that after the break.
It's 2:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomis. KSL's top story this hour. West Valley police say they believe the father of a family found dead in their home apparently shot his wife and children and then himself. Police spokesperson Roxanne Vanuka says that's based on where the bodies were found and other evidence at the scene.
A small handgun was found underneath the body of the father. We believe this was the weapon used in the shootings. However, ballistic and forensic analysis will determine that definitively.
The 17-year-old who survived the shootings is in critical condition with a brain injury. Police haven't been able to talk to him. They haven't yet released the family's names. The University of Utah Health System has a new chief. It's a former Cougar, Dr. Bob S. Carter, graduated from BYU as an undergraduate in 1986. Now he reps the Red. He's a veteran brain surgeon, educator, and healthcare administrator. University of Utah President Taylor Randall says with his leadership, they'll continue to innovate, educate, and provide high-quality care. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The Federal Reserve went ahead and cut interest rates by a quarter point today at its meeting, and it's also lowering expectations for any further cuts in the coming year. It says maybe a couple, but no more. Looking at your money this hour, the Dow Jones average closed trading today down 1,123 points. That's 2.5%. The NASDAQ was down 716 points, 3.5%. The S&P 500 down 178. And our KSL weather, we're expecting a buildup of polluted air in an inversion. That's next. KSL News Time, 2:32.
News doesn't just mean information or dates.
It's the story of our local history being told in real time.
Be a part of the story. This is Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon.
We hope to be a part of your story. We have you covered on KSL News Radio.
Home ownership. At Progressive, we know it's part of the American dream. It's winds blowing across a fruited plain, and also your new fire pit, which subsequently sets your gazebo ablaze. It's hard-hitting football, and an even harder-hitting price estimate from your general contractor. That's a star-spangled bummer. It's also around-the-clock protection when you bundle your home and auto with Progressive, which can help keep the American dream of home ownership alive and kicking. Get a quote at Progressive.com.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With Venture X, earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy and turn everyday purchases into extraordinary trips. Plus, receive premium travel benefits like access to over 1,300 airport lounges where you just check in and chill out. Open up a world of possibilities with Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Here's something you don't want to miss. We want to let you know about Advanced Garage Door. They're a great company that Deb and I discovered.
Kyle, what sets Advanced Garage Door apart from other companies?
At Advanced Door, we're always looking for the industry-leading and highest quality garage door parts. We handle everything from repairs and installations to maintenance and emergency services. Plus, we provide a lifetime warranty on all residential doors and parts.
A lifetime warranty? That's amazing. What does it cover?
Our lifetime warranty covers labor on residential doors, parts, and services, as long as our recommendations are followed. This means our customers can enjoy peace of mind knowing their garage doors are always protected.
That's fantastic. So if someone's garage door is giving them trouble, what should they do?
Just give us a call. Our certified technicians are available 24/7 to provide prompt and reliable service. We're here to ensure your garage door is always in top shape.
For all your garage door needs, visit advanced-door.com.
Or call 801-252-5977 today.
Advanced Garage Door, where we sell peace of mind.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair. Save on every gallon with the DinoPay app. And here's Ricky Meese.
Already a little bit of busy traffic showing up southbound I-15, Murray and Midvale down to about 90th South and Sandy. And we have an accident reported. Looks like it's not going to be causing too much trouble in traffic. This is at 31st Street and Wall Avenue in Ogden. Give the perfect gift to your family this winter. Come and play in Bear Lake. Reserve your winter getaway now and relax during or after the holidays. Visit bearlake.org. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Well, our highs got into the low 50s today, and air quality's been good, but it's expected to get worse under another inversion layer. A weak storm could help clear that out this coming weekend. 52 degrees, partly cloudy in Salt Lake. I'm Dan Bomas from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources. A new presidency, new state leaders, and a new legislative session. Utah's top political experts discuss the day's biggest stories. Only on KSL News Radio.
And you're back with us on Inside Sources. I'm Greg Skordas alongside Leah Murray. And Leah, this is a really interesting story because I started reading it wondering where we were headed, but it's a story about federal judges pushing back their retirement because of Trump's presidency. We are concerned right now in our country, Leah, that the judiciary, especially the federal judiciary, well, it's not even limited to the feds, is becoming a little bit more political than it has been in the past, or at least it's seen that way. This seems to be sort of a political move, if you will. But a number of federal judges, those that are appointed by Democrats, who had indicated that they were going to either retire or go to what we call senior status, which means sort of part-time, filling in, that type of thing, are not going to do that. I suppose because they don't want to be replaced by an appointee appointed by President Trump.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I guess, how do I say? I think this has always happened, Greg. So I would like to have a conversation around whether you think this is actually something new or maybe we're just noticing it a little bit more. But judges are very intelligent people. They are all also political people. They are never going to retire when their party is not in the process of being able to replace them with someone who has a similar ideological bent. So the rule is Democrats nominate Democrats, Republicans nominate Republicans, full stop. So it is never the case that a president who is a Republican is going to nominate a Democrat. It is never the case vice versa. So a little bit, don't you think this has always been true, Greg? I mean, I feel like judges are probably always watching to see what's going to happen. And in this case, I wonder if these judges thought that the election was going to come in, as we talked about earlier on this show, an unexpected election, that we weren't all expecting Republicans to take all three, the House, the Senate, and the president.
Right.
So I wonder if these judges kind of expected either the president to go Democratic or the Senate to stay Democratic, so you would have a little more control over who gets nominated. When that didn't happen, they were like, oh, no, I'm staying in the game for the next little bit.
I'll be honest, I've never heard of this happening. I remember, except in a notable exception, which was Ruth Bader Ginsburg, there was some allegation that she was hanging on as long as possible until a Democratic president could replace her. And that, of course, didn't happen. But this came as a little bit of a surprise to me. I don't know that I have a problem with it one way or the other. I mean, judges can retire whenever they want. But these are judges who have already indicated, or at least sort of put in their paperwork, so to speak, that I'm planning to retire, and now saying, time out, I'm going to hold off on that for a while. Which, I don't know. You and I have talked about this before when I said judges are not political, and you're like, everybody's political. Everyone's political. And you sold me on that the more I thought about it. But judges sort of try to stay outside of the fray. This one clearly seems to be a way to say, you know what, I don't know that I want to be replaced by a MAGA appointee.
Yeah, I mean, I think the answer is they might think they're staying out of the fray, but I don't buy it.
Sure,
I have
right,
never bought
right.
it. They are human, and as a result of being human, they have political opinions. But we don't even have to go back that far, right? So the Republican Senate kept the Scalia seat. So Justice Antonin Scalia died, and they kept that seat vacant for almost a year, waiting on the outcome of the 2016 election and then waiting to give Donald Trump the ability to replace him with Gorsuch, right?
But that's the Senate. I'm talking about the judges themselves.
Oh, I see. So you think they are never paying attention to who the president is?
Obviously they are. I'm just not familiar with them having done that in the past. I know exactly what you're talking about. I think that Obama had tried to appoint Merrick Garland, of all people, who's our current United States Attorney. But the Republican-controlled Senate knew that he was going to be replaced and thought, well, let's just let the new president make his selection. Of course, the exact opposite happened when Trump was on his way out, where they quickly appointed, I think, Amy Coney Barrett, and didn't let Biden appoint his choice as the next Supreme Court justice.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting. I remember there being stories about President Obama trying to pressure Ruth Bader Ginsburg to retire earlier. Right, because his concern was she would die, and that a Republican would be nominating to replace her. And I always kind of liked her feistiness because she was like, yeah, I'm going to do what I want,
Retire
right?
when I feel like retiring.
And there is absolutely some pressure right now. Justices Clarence Thomas is 76. Samuel Alito is 74. Sonia Sotomayor is 70. So those are 3 judges that are, we have discussed age already in this show. And we've definitely talked about age in politics over the last year. So a little bit, we've got some older people on that court. Your point's well taken. I was thinking this has always been political. Intelligent people are always strategically retiring, right? Like I always say,
sure.
I'm never going to retire. Like they might stop paying me, Greg, but I'm going to keep on doing what I do. And I got to think judges are aware of the politics of confirmation hearings better than anybody else. And they are aware also, we discussed last week, a new bill coming down the pike that's creating 63 new judgeships, right? So they might be looking at it and going, I really wasn't expecting that to be a full stop Republican president, full stop Republican Senate. They get 63 choices. Well, given that they have 63, how about I will, right? Like pull mine back. So actually talk to me a little bit about this. They were going to retire to go to a senior status.
Right.
Professors have this. We call it emeritus, right? So you can retire and then doing something different. So maybe it's not as big as they were going to live the rest of their life on an island somewhere. They were actually planning. So senior status, they're still doing some judging?
Right. So we have senior judges here in Utah. And what'll happen is they'll take cases periodically, very rarely. They'll fill in for other judges at times. They kind of like to keep their feet in the game a little bit, but don't want a full-time calendar, a full-time docket, so they don't mind being replaced. They'll take senior status and still be able to hear cases, but then, like you say, go to the island for a month or 2 every year, without having to worry about how that's going to back up their calendar.
Right. I mean, I think the other thing, when we think about it, because we're picking on these Democrats, we've got in our last 2 decades, 3 Republican-appointed judges. So let's bring it back to judges, because that's what you said. Right. Decided to not take senior status. We've got district judges Rudolph Randa, Michael Cann, Karen Caldwell. When their preferred successors didn't come through, they went back and became a judge, so that the person that they were picking to be the heir didn't wasn't appointed, so they came back in. And Judge Rudolph Randa, when Obama was elected in 2008, was like, no. So I want to just be clear, it's not just Democrats that do it, right? That goes back to 2008, so it's not like just today that this is happening. But let's see. I mean, there's a 2023 data analysis in the Minnesota Law Review finding that judges are increasingly taking senior status at politically advantageous times. I don't know, Greg, as a social scientist, I'd want to read that. I feel that it's always been the case, going all the way back to, our first Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, that these very intelligent people understood the political game and probably... Right. I mean, they would be thinking about their pensions and they'd be thinking about the island they want to go to, but they would be very thoughtful about legacy and which party they want nominating their heir. Right. I mean, I can't think, I'm just going to have to read that article to see if I buy that it's recent. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
that it's come this last time.
It is interesting. And it seems to me sort of a selfless act in some respect, because they can retire. They can go to the island. They can take months off, and they're still going to get even senior status. I mean, judges, I'm sure, get a very generous retirement, as they clearly are entitled to, but they're willing to stick around and work ostensibly full-time as judges so that they're not replaced. It's also interesting, you mentioned the older Supreme Court justices. Clarence Thomas is 76. I guess if you look at Biden and Trump, that's not that old.
Or it is that old.
But I mean, they're trying to make it sound like it is old, but I don't know. I guess 4 years from now, 8 years from now, we'll see. When we come back after the break, I know you're going to tease me about this next subject, so I'll just leave it to that. Stay with us.
Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa this weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa this weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates, this weekend only. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Hot tub starting at $2,999. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Friday, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free parking, free delivery. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandSwimSpaSale.com.
Hello, car donation hotline.
Hi, I'd like to donate a car to the Utah Kidney Foundation. Are you in Utah?
Awesome. Let's get some info and we'll send you a tow truck.
But I want my car donation to benefit my neighbor in Farmington who needs a transplant. Are you in Utah?
That's a no. I'm in SoCal, but you're still donating to charity.
What charity?
Does it matter?
Yes, I want my donation to stay in Utah.
Righteous dude. You need to call tow cars in Utah. Locals only, am I right?
Oh, yeah. I remember tow cars with a K like kidney. It's on a billboard somewhere. TOWKARS.org. That's it. Towcars.org.
If you'd like your vehicle donation to help Utah kidney patients in the Beehive State, please use the web address on their billboard, towcars.org, to donate your old car or truck. That's TOWK like kidney, ARS. Towcars.org.
The impact of a meal goes well beyond feeding our bodies, because when people don't have to worry about where their next meal is coming from, they can truly thrive, like Marta.
And now we'll hear from our class valedictorian, who with our hard work never ceases to amaze us. Please welcome Marta Moreno.
And Alex.
Hey, Alex, how did the interview go?
I did it! I got the job! I can't believe it!
I knew it. Let's meet up later to celebrate.
And Diego.
Mom! I got first place at the science fair with my volcano project.
That's amazing, sweetie. Congratulations.
Because when people are fed, futures are nourished, and everyone deserves to live a full life. Join the movement to end hunger at feedingamerica.org/actnow. Feedingamerica.org/actnow. A public service announcement brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
This Friday, join KSL News Radio and NPS from 10 to 1 as the movie show stops by. Then, browse and uncover what makes NPS so great. With 4 locations, NPS takes a new inventory every day. Then, they check all competitors' retail pricing before marking items down 20 to 70% off. You're invited to visit the movie show this Friday from 10 to 1. And that's the first step to discovering NPS. Visit npsstore.com to begin your own NPS adventure. npsstore.com.
Common Spirit Health has expert orthopedic care that gets you back at it and back to your best. Find skilled orthopedic physicians at Common Spirit locations who specialize in general orthopedics and repair of hips, knees, shoulders, and hands, so you can return to running races or chasing the grandkids. Common Spirit Health. Hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advance healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Orthopedic care with human kindness is here. Visit mountain.commonspirit.org.
Every 2 seconds, someone in Utah needs blood. Help save a life with ARUP, the sole provider to University and Huntsman Cancer Hospitals. 2 locations and donor perks. Visit utahblood.org.
On the surface, it seemed like just another Cinderella story.
The team that was predicted to finish dead last is now waiting to play the first round of the playoffs.
But Real Salt Lake's 2021 playoff run was so much more than what happened on the pitch.
Our club is burning to the ground.
This is the tip of the iceberg. Making of a Moment, the RSL story, is available now.
I just kind of got chills right now thinking about it.
Follow us at makingamomentpod.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
So, you want to be a hero. Here are some ways to get the job. Hunt down that killer shark. Or run into a burning house to save a kitten. Luckily, there's an easier way to become a hero. Call 911 if you see someone experiencing the symptoms of stroke, sudden weakness on one side, or trouble speaking, walking, or seeing. Stroke. Know the signs. Act in time. You'll be a real hero. A message from the National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Stroke.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, police believe the 5 members of a family whose bodies were found in their home in West Valley yesterday died in a murder-suicide. A gun was found beneath the father's body. The teenager who survived is in critical condition. Second, the Federal Reserve cut interest rates again today, but only by a quarter point. Third, it's the time of the year for Christmas scams. Better Business Bureau says there are plenty out there. 52 degrees, partly cloudy in Salt Lake City. And back to Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
Welcome back to Inside Sources. Greg Skordas, this has been a lovely 2 hours with you talking about all the things.
It went very quickly today.
It always goes quickly because we are so fabulous. Greg, I want to end our show, as we often do, on a lighter note. And I'm going to actually set myself up for condemnation, and people can judge me for what's about to be talked about. I'm going to tell you what, I do not wear a seatbelt in the back seat, Greg Skordas.
Of the car?
Of the car.
And it's because you don't have to, because the alarm doesn't go off?
No, I feel like...
The buzzer doesn't activate?
Usually, first of all,
if would you not wear it in the front seat if it didn't start beeping?
All right, so let's go there in just a second.
Okay.
One, I will tell all of our listeners that I turned 16 and started driving the year the seatbelt law came into being in New York. I am that old. So I remember being a kid and not having to be in a seatbelt, right? So I am that old that seatbelts were a thing. But it was an argument in debate club, right, when I was in high school. And I will tell you that when that happened, that was just the front seat. Right, so you were only required to wear a seatbelt in the front seat.
Right.
I'm most often in the front seat, so I am most often super compliant with safety and wearing my seatbelt. However, my family and I drive back to New York every summer to visit family. And now that my son is 6'3" and I am 5'3", I get the back seat position when I am not
so he can
driving.
Stretch his legs,
right, and I do not wear my seatbelt. I kind of lay down. I'm on my phone. Maybe I'm taking a nap, but I am not wearing my seatbelt in the back seat because it's uncomfortable, Greg.
How is it less comfortable in the back seat than the front?
Well, first of all, sitting up straight in a long car ride is always less comfortable than lying down in the back seat.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yes. Well, you can't wear a seatbelt when you're lying down.
Right. So if you want to be lying down, you shouldn't be wearing a seatbelt.
At least for that moment. But when you're sitting up, you should put the seatbelt on.
All right. So let's talk about this because I want to tell you that I get harassed by my friend group when I don't wear a seatbelt. And there has been a study from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. That's probably a fun office. And what they found in 2022 was that 91.6% of people in cars are using their seatbelt in the front seat, but the rear seatbelt use was about 81.7%. So I am with the 81.7%, or I'm not. I'm with the 19% that
right.
doesn't wear it in the back seat. So I am clearly out of touch with how this is supposed to be happening. Let's talk about what's setting this conversation. My husband bought a Subaru. That car dings at you if you are sitting in the back seat and you are not wearing a seatbelt.
Oh, really?
So what I did was plug in the seatbelt and lie down on top of it. So the car thought the human in the back seat had a seatbelt on.
This is not advice. This is not do as Leah.
Oh, no.
Right.
No. You should absolutely never do what I do. But I was annoyed by that beeping. I am annoyed by that, and now I'm even more super annoyed. So here becomes the most Republican version of Leah, although maybe this is not a partisan issue, is that there will be a rule from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration that takes effect in 2027. That means every single car has to have that noisy, persistent, awful dinging sound in the back seat if you are not wearing a seatbelt. So now every car that I am in, I will have to wear a seatbelt or listen to the ding the entire time that I am driving.
I realize that I don't wear a seatbelt in the back seat as often as I should. And the reason I remember that is because recently I got an Uber ride, and the driver actually said, "Sir, you got to put your seatbelt on." The Uber driver required me to do that because I wasn't going to do that. But I don't ride in the back seat very often, so I guess I just hadn't thought about it. I know when I'm with my kids and my grandkids, you have to set an example Everybody has to put their seatbelt on, because if Grandpa doesn't have a seatbelt on, that's not the best example. So I always wear my seatbelt, no matter where I'm sitting when I'm with the grandkids. But I guess when I'm alone, maybe I'm like you. I don't wear it.
Well, if you're alone driving, you should be wearing it.
No, I mean alone in the back seat.
Yeah.
Without any.
Well, why would you ever be? Oh, I see what you're saying. If there aren't children in the car with you, because someone's in the car with you driving.
Yeah,
if you're
just
in the back
Uber
seat.
driver.
I got you. Yeah, no, it's interesting, and I'm wrong. I know completely that I'm wrong. 25,420 people died in 2022 in a car accident because they were not wearing a seatbelt.
Right.
And my friends will tell me, because I'll say, I'm in the back seat, it's safe. And they'll say, not for us in the front seat. So if we have an accident and you're not seatbelted in, you become like a missile in the car.
We just had an accident here in Utah, and I'll just tell you this.
Yeah,
It happened this week, and I remember reading the 3 people in the back seat died because they were thrown from the car. The 2 people in the front seat lived because they were wearing a seatbelt. And the back seat passengers didn't have seatbelts on.
That's
all you need to know.
Well, yes.
Right.
And clearly what I need to do is know that and then also pay attention to it.
Right.
So this is my question for you. So I want to have a political conversation.
Okay.
The Republican in me basically says, who is the government to tell me why won't the government just let me make a bad decision? So why can't I sit in the backseat of my car while my husband's driving on our family trip and just not wear my seatbelt? Why does the government have the prerogative through this safety administration to tell Subaru should be telling people what to do? It's inside of my car. It doesn't affect anybody else. It's not doing any damage to anyone else. My understanding is the government really only intervenes when my rights to be stupid actually harm your right, right?
Right.
So talk
and that's
to me
a hard
about,
stretch to say, okay, your foolishness or your whatever you want to call it is your own problem, and you're putting yourself at risk and no one else, so why should you have to do that? I'll tell you how this hits close to home with me. It's a little bit different, but motorcycle helmets. You know what I mean? We have a lot. We don't require helmet use in Utah, but some states do. It's the same thing. You know, people are like, live free or die. You know what I mean? And they want to be able to have their hair flow in the wind. And I think some people feel the same way about seatbelts. Like, who are you, government, to tell me that what I have to do? If I want to put my own life at risk, I should be able to do that. Some states require motorcycle helmets. Utah doesn't.
Right. So
I know that's a weird example, but I'm just telling you that it's the same argument that I've heard for years and years with the
so the analog is I do not ride a motorcycle, so let's be clear. That makes me a little too nervous. And a friend of mine doesn't wear a helmet when he drives his motorcycle, and he basically said, Leah, if I have an accident, I
if you're on a motorcycle,
I want to go out with the motorcycle, so I don't really want to wear that the helmet. Well, let's push on this because I know you are a bike friend, right? I do not wear a helmet when I ride a bike.
Bicycle?
I do not wear a helmet when I ski. So a little bit, Greg, it's like, look, I grew up riding bikes and didn't have a helmet on, and I'm still here. And I grew up learning to ski and didn't wear a helmet, and I am still here. And maybe that's stupid. And my children wear helmets because I understand everything, and I make them do it just like you with your grandkids. I don't model good behavior, but I require, do as I say, not as I do, for my children with their helmets. But a little bit like, I don't want to wear a helmet when I'm skiing. One of my favorite things about skiing is like being outside and like hearing the swoosh of the skis on the slope, right? I'm not wearing a helmet for that. I'm not going fast enough. I'm going to be fine. And the government should not be telling Snow Basin to require me to wear a helmet. And I feel like the analog applies here.
I work at Powder Mountain. I'm on their patrol, and we wear a helmet because we're required to by the employer. But I've gotten used to it. So now when I free ski and I'm not working for Powder Mountain, I wear a helmet. But I'll tell you something weird about bicycles. I would never leave my driveway without a helmet on a bicycle. But I get on a motorcycle without a helmet all the time. I know that's ridiculous. I've fallen enough times on a bicycle to know that if I hadn't had a helmet, I'd be in trouble. And I've actually fallen a few times skiing and hit my helmet hard enough to realize, hey, if I hadn't had that on right at that moment, I'd have been in trouble.
Yeah, and all of that's you being, smart and stupid at the same time,
right.
which
No
is kind
question.
of interesting.
No question.
But do you think the government should be able to tell you that you have to wear a bike helmet? Because that's what this is about,
that's
right?
A good
the
question.
Government is saying to car makers, you have to put in this annoying dinging sound. No one will ever be able to turn it off because we are going to make all of these people wear a helmet.
I think the government has that right, yes.
All right. You want to stay up to date with how Greg is wrong about everything and the latest news? Get KSL's 3 Things newsletter each day. You'll get an email, top 3 things you need to know. It's super easy to get started. Just send inbox to 57500.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Good afternoon. It's 3 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Maria Shaleo, sitting in today for Jeff Kaplan. It's partly cloudy in downtown Salt Lake City and 52 degrees. KSL's top story. West Valley says a family of 6 had no previous history with the police before 5 of them were found dead in their home yesterday. Police now believe the father was likely responsible. KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera has the latest. Eric?
Maria, West Valley City Police says based on the placement of a handgun found at Oxford Way home, they believe the father was responsible. Here's Deputy Communications Director Roxanne Vainuku.
And a small handgun was found underneath the body of the father. We believe this was the weapon used in the shootings.
Police believe the shooting happened over the weekend. After a warrant was issued yesterday, they found a 17-year-old son alive with a gunshot wound